The biggest name.
You're locked into JJ and Alex. With the insight and analysis on the teams you can't live without. Presented by G2G Bars. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Have you ever missed a flight, Jer? You ever missed a flight? You ever gone full on? You were running down you were pulling the Macaulay Culkin, running down the terminal, and you didn't make it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Just once.
Just once. Well, welcome back to the program. Because if you were Zion Williamson, you'd lose about $220,000.
Is that why he's in trouble?
He missed the flight.
Ooh.
That was the deal. Zion Williamson late for his flight, suspended for a game by the Pels. Now, so what does that mean? Does it mean is their organization sucky? Is he got some personal stuff going on?
I just don't know.
What's going on with that cat, man?
My take is I just don't know that he takes it all that serious. And I think it's because the dude is such a freak of nature. It's almost been too easy for him.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because remember watching in high school the videos?
Oh.
I mean, he's playing against kids that are like 5'6", and he's out there throwing down windmill dunks when he's 16 years old. He's always been the best player on the planet in his age group or whatever level he was playing in until now.
Do you remember when his shoes
And even
exploded?
now, when he plays, when he's 100%, he's among the elite in the NBA, and it's even easy for him in the NBA. But
that's weird.
In order to be in the NBA and play 82 games, you have to take your training seriously, your diet seriously, your sleep seriously, and your professionalism seriously. And he clearly doesn't do those things, even though he's still a freak.
Do you remember when his shoes exploded?
Yeah.
Like,
And
we've
Duke?
never seen something like that before.
He's so strong.
Like, you max out the rating on your shoe.
Who were the biggest freak athletes of your lifetime? Bo Jackson, right?
Yeah. I think Myles Garrett's kind of in that
Bo
category.
Jackson breaking bats over his
Yeah.
knee. Myles Garrett's crazy. If you watch Myles Garrett play basketball, you realize just how big of a freak
I watched a
athlete he
video
is.
about Julius Peppers and how insane. I mean, that's a guy who
Travis Hunter might be in that conversation. You watch him, so you can tell how freak of an athlete is by watching them play multiple sports or doing multiple things. But athletes that do things like go so hard and they're so strong and athletic that their shoe explodes, that's next level athleticism, strength. He possesses that. He's one of the biggest athletic freaks of our generation. But the other stuff that it was required to become great, he is not willing to do or has not committed to do.
Anyway, late for the flight. That was the official word from the Pelicans. Apparently, missed a flight. Yeah, that's a tell. That's what we in the business call a tell.
Yeah,
right? Like you can kind of something's going on that's behind the scenes. All right, let me see here. Our program brought to you by G2G Bars. All natural ingredients and no preservatives. Make the G2G Bar the perfect protein bar. You want to give it a shot today. It's at Costco, Holiday Oil, Maverick, Associated Foods, and now popping up at Smith's as well. All in the refrigerated section. Go give it a shot for yourself. Let's kick off the hour with The Cut. Let's jump in here, preview some of these NFL football games and this last college football playoff game. Anything that has the word playoff in it, I'm all about it. And football's still alive. I'm going to soak up every second of it. So let's jump in right here.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
And this portion of the show brought to you by the good folks at the family of Doug Smith dealerships at American Fork, Spanish Fork, and Linden, where the new Kia dealership is. And, of course, we've been hanging out at the Doug Smith Mitsubishi down there at American Fork, and they're having an awesome time there as well. So nobody knows cars like Doug. So let's look at it. We've got ourselves lots of college football still to be played, and by that I mean we're down to 2 games, one more semifinal game, and then one final. Let's start off first with this college football playoff semifinal. We got Ohio State and Texas, number 5 ranked Texas in the college football playoff rankings versus number 8 Ohio State. This is now moved up to, let me see here. No, it's still at Ohio State by 6, according to the odds makers. And last night, you remember we were I think that the over-under in last night's game was 52. This one's actually lower in tonight's game. 51.1, your over-under. I would hope that they go over on this one. I want to see the offenses pounding on it. I could see this being a 41-33 type game. And certainly you want to see some points being scored. But how does Ohio State get this one done versus Texas tonight, as this one's going to be played at the Cotton Bowl at Jerry World?
How? Just do what you've done the last 2 weeks. That's it. you get the ball to Jeremiah Smith, okay? Let that defense do what they're doing right now, because right now that defense is playing. They held Oregon to 21 points, Tennessee to 17. Pretty impressive. Keep doing what you're doing. It's really that simple. And if Howard at quarterback continues to do what he's doing, which is not – he doesn't have to be Heisman Trophy level. He's just got to do his job. And he's doing his job really well. Get the ball to the playmakers because they have tons of them. Ohio State just needs to do what they're doing. What does Texas need to do to pull off the upset? They got to get stops. They got to force turnovers. They got to put pressure on Howard because he's had it too easy the last two games, right? You got to get after him. They've got to get after him. And Texas has a really strong front. How did they do against Arizona State? I thought the first half they did a really good job against Scadaboo. And for Arizona State to get Scadaboo going in that game, they had to do it in different ways. They had to try some gadget plays. They had to get him outside a little bit. So Texas has got the guys up front to do that, but it's pretty tough. That O-line of Ohio State is as good as it gets in college football. It's going to be a tough task for Texas. Quinn Ewers, he's got to have a great game. The way he played in overtime against Arizona State, he's going to have to do that for 4 quarters. He didn't do that against Arizona State. I thought he was pretty pedestrian in that game until it really mattered, and you give him credit for that, okay? That 4th and 14 touchdown pass was phenomenal. That's going to go down in Texas history. They're going to remember that for a long time.
Yep.
But you also have to look at the first 4 quarters of that game, and it's like it was a pretty mid effort that has a lot of people thinking he's not going to be back next year, right? Because there's a guy sitting on the bench that's pretty darn good too. So Ewers has to play out of his mind tonight for Texas to win this game, I think. They can't have their field goal kicker missing a couple times.
Oh, boy.
The margin for error tonight for Texas as it's slim as it's been since they played Georgia, and they did not beat Georgia. They lost to them twice. Again, I have a lot of reasons to think that Texas is not good enough to win this game because they've shown us that throughout this season. The 2 losses to Georgia, I thought they had a soft schedule. They don't have marquee wins. Outside of the win they got against Clemson, I think that's a decent win that they had in the first round of the playoffs. But this is a team that really hasn't shown us enough for us to believe that they're a national championship contender. They deserve to be in the playoff. But are they good enough to win the whole thing? They're going to have to prove it tonight.
Did you notice that every team that was in the semifinal had at least 2 losses?
Yeah. Well, no, Notre Dame doesn't.
Oh, Notre Dame, that's right. No. But, I mean, like, even a game like tonight, Texas 13-2, Ohio State's 12-2.
Yeah, Ohio State is we're piling on Ohio State on the bandwagon here because they've been so phenomenal the last 2 games, but that team didn't show up every week this year. What if tonight's the night where they don't show up and then Texas could take advantage of it? Ohio State's not perfect. They're not undefeated.
Well, Will Howard has definitely got some vices, right? He's got some real issues.
There's a reason why he left Kansas State.
Yeah, I think part of it was he wasn't going to get the
he was probably not going to win the job.
The job was not going to be guaranteed to him, and yet here he is starting for Ohio State. I think that I just want to see I don't know. Maybe it's because I've just never really liked Ohio State. Do you notice there's a theme here? I don't really like a lot of teams.
I think I'm with you, and one of the reasons why is we just keep being force-fed these teams like Ohio State.
I know.
And
we
Notre
were
Dame,
told before the year even
and
started.
Georgia and Alabama.
Just put them in the national championship
and they always
game.
get the benefit of the doubt, even
Hate
when
it.
they don't earn it or deserve it. And you can see it and you understand it. And you're just so frustrated that the old guard of college football continues to shove these schools down our throat. That's what bugs me about them. But Ohio State, give them credit, and Texas, give them credit for getting here. I think they're deserving this year. I think both teams deserved it. You look at Ohio State's 8 seed, and you're like, okay, this is a team that they didn't get the number 2 seed with the 2 losses. They had to go from the 8 seed to do it. They were fortunate enough to get that home first-round game. But since then, they have just looked unbeatable.
The second national semifinal that Texas has been to in the last 2 years. And frankly, that's a team that, according to the amount of attention that they get, are supposed to be in this situation every year.
Since Vince Young in 2005,
right? They hadn't
what
won.
had Texas done until the last 2 years? Give Sark credit for that.
Yeah, and I think that you're seeing a Texas that is. And by the way, they just keep winning recruiting battles too. So I think you're going to see the culture there at Texas not just go from, hey, let's win some ball games. And Notre Dame is kind of going through the same thing, right? Where you get this, you have all this attention all the time anyway, just because of how big your brand is. But now you have a guy. First of all, Marcus Freeman. I mean, certainly you might have your everybody's got their weird stuff and whatever, but Marcus Freeman is exactly what they needed at Notre Dame after Brian Kelly, which was the rumblings of Brian Kelly, how he treated players, the rumblings of how just like he runs a little bit of a weird office and you know,
so unlikable.
LSU's finding out pretty soon. I mean, you watch that guy on the sidelines and the way he talks to some of these young men, and you go, I don't know if I'd want my son playing for that guy, right?
No.
I mean, like, so Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame, I don't even like Notre Dame, but they're starting to make me like him just because Marcus Freeman is so unhateable, I feel like.
I love him. And wasn't he great last night?
Oh, I know.
Wasn't he great? The interviews he gave, and watching him on the sideline, the composure from the start to the finish. We talk about coaches that are always steady. We talk about, we have Bear Turney on every week, and we've talked about how steady he's been this year during a very turbulent up-and-down season for the Utah Hockey Club with the injuries and the losing streaks and everything they're going through. You have this stoic personality on the bench that just keeps everything even-keeled. Marcus Freeman is also that, never too high, never too low, but the wisdom that he's showing and he's teaching at the age of 39 – It's really cool to see, and Notre Dame has found themselves something. And man, they hit the upgrade button. Kelly's, I can't. That guy was, ugh. And then you turn on. Can you imagine what it would be like to be the Notre Dame players in that locker room, to wake up one day and learn that Brian Kelly resigned. He's going to take the job at LSU, and they're going to replace him with an assistant coach of the quality of Marcus Freeman, and they're going to give your guy a shot. And these guys play with that. They play for him. And you can tell that they love him. And so those are the ideal situations in college football. You love to see a good guy get a great opportunity and knock it out of the park, and he's done it.
The NFL this week, of course, now if we're talking more playoffs, full on playoff previews here. Wild card weekend, and one of my favorites in all of football. Let's start first with the Chargers and Texans. The Chargers are I think we were waiting maybe an extra year that we were going to give Jim Harbaugh before he started kind of turning things around.
Isn't it crazy?
Took less than that, and he showed up, and the Chargers are favored in this game against the Texans, man. Because
the Texans are beat up. This is not the same Texans team that just absolutely crushed the Browns in last year's wild card playoff. C.J. Stroud has been good, but he doesn't have the same caliber of receivers to throw to this year because of the injuries. He's got guys that are out for the year, and I don't think they have the skill position players to get it done here. The Chargers, full strength right now. Jim Harbaugh just knows how to coach. I do like the Texans, but the injuries, I think, have knocked them down a peg. And I see Justin Herbert having a nice game and the Chargers winning this game on the road.
Steelers-Ravens. Steelers going to Baltimore, and the Ravens are hot right now with one of the best running backs on the planet. And, of course, Lamar Jackson, the reigning MVP winner of the NFL, and just it seems like a team that the Steelers number one can't get, but the Steelers doesn't feel like they can get anybody right now.
I get it, and if Sly's listening, he tried to convince me earlier this week that it's a new season for the Steelers, and there's truth in that. And look,
he's sending us texts of trying to get us on the hype train on the Pittsburgh hype train.
Try.
Come on, man.
But you look at the situation. If you're honest and you're not biased, you've got a team like the Ravens that's really hot right now. Ended the season really well, and you have a Steelers team that looks like they stumbled into the postseason.
Oh, right.
And that is not a good situation. They don't have momentum. They don't have confidence. They're banged up. The Ravens are full strength. I know Zay Flowers is out, so I shouldn't say they're full strength. But they have enough weapons. They've got enough receivers. But it really comes down to Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry in the cold in January. They're at home. I just like the Ravens. I like the Ravens big in this game.
By the way, football fans, count your football blessings while you have them, because you've got tonight, the college football playoff semifinal. You have 2 games tomorrow. Is it 2?
Yeah, two games tomorrow. In the NFL.
3 NFL games on Sunday, of course. Three wild card games on Sunday. This is why I love wild card weekend so much. You go 11, 2:30, and then your 6 o'clock kickoff at night with the Commanders and Buccaneers, and then you have a Monday night game. And then the playoffs continue, and then you've got yourself a college football national championship, of course, the week after. So very quickly here, your Broncos versus the Bills. Tell me what's going on here. Try to take the disgustingly orange goggles off. By the way, when are you guys just going to adopt those jerseys full time?
Bring them back.
What's
the
going
orange
on?
crust jerseys.
What?
I don't know.
What?
Aren't they beautiful?
They're like, I hate the Broncos, and those were the colors that I learned to hate the Broncos in. Doesn't matter. They're classic.
But they're the
dude.
colors.
What do they call that? What do they call the horse? What do they call the? I mean, it's a Bronco. But
you just call them the orange crust jerseys.
Because that horse coming through the
D.
It looks cool, man. And
Yeah.
he's got and when I was a kid, I don't know if
You thought it was a snot rocket?
He's got milkshake coming out of the
Yeah.
nose, after somebody told him a horse joke of some sort.
Yeah.
So the Broncos and the Bills, they go to Buffalo. That's a tough place to play in the offseason. The Bills are as hot as any team right now.
I'm a lifelong
NFL.
Denver Broncos fan. The Bills are going to win this game.
Okay.
The Broncos already achieved something significant by making the playoffs for the first time since 2015. They went 9 years without a playoff appearance after winning the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning in his final season in the NFL. This was a big season and a big move forward for this Broncos organization to make the playoffs. But the Bills are further ahead in their process. The Bills made some significant changes in the offseason and got better because of it. Josh Allen, I believe, is the MVP of the league this year. They're at home. They're in Orchard Park. They're going to have too much for the Broncos in this game. This is not the time yet for the Broncos to succeed in the playoffs. I think that time is down the road. Today is the time for the Bills. I think the Bills are in a situation and a position to finally get over the hump, and we'll find out if they can do that over the next month. But they're going to win on Sunday. They're going to beat my Broncos.
Is it going to be a blowout, or is it going to be respectable and Bo Nix?
They're 8.5-point favorites. It could get away from the Broncos, to be quite honest. I'm worried about it. How good is Bo Nix going to be in his first playoff game on the road? That's a tough thing to ask a rookie.
But also,
and I know he's an experienced rookie, but that's tough.
No one was anticipating that he'd be at this spot, right?
No.
At this point. So
the Broncos weren't picked to go to the playoffs by nearly
It's all
anybody.
gravy. It's all gravy at this point. So you might as well just soak up all the experience that you can, Bo Nix, and figure it out, and then carry it into the next season. Packers-Eagles. Packers going to the Eagles. What's the status of Jordan Love? I'm assuming he's all right.
He's
right?
playing. Yeah,
okay.
he's playing. The Packers lost Christian Watson to the ACL injury. That's a significant loss on offense, but they still got Josh Jacobs. They still got a nice set of receivers. Offensively, the Packers should be fine. Jalen Hurts will play, but which Eagles team shows up on Sunday? I don't know, right?
I mean, doesn't Saquon just go to an even crazier level, as if you could? But doesn't he go?
Does he? I don't know.
I think he does.
I think that's the thing.
He's been playing for a team that is just not. I mean, even when the Giants made the playoffs at one time, right? And he was on that roster, you knew that they weren't. This is serious contending. This is the number 2 seed in the NFC.
Exactly.
And
earlier this week, I picked them to win this game, but I don't feel comfortable with that at all. The Packers, what did they do in the wild card last year? What did they do? We thought the Cowboys were a Super Bowl contender.
Oh, quit it.
And the Cowboys had Dak had a monster year last year, and CeeDee Lamb had set records in receiving. And what did the Packers go down there and do? They broke them. The Cowboys were not the same this year after that game last year. The Packers are really good. They've got a great defense. Outside of the losses of the Lions and the Vikings, I mean, they just happen to play in the toughest division in football this year, if you're being quite honest. And they almost beat those teams in the chances they had. If they get half of those wins, they're not playing a 2-7 game. I think the Packers might be the best 7 seed we've seen in the playoffs since they went to having 14 teams in the playoff. This is not going to be easy for the Eagles to knock off the Packers. Jordan Love already has a road playoff win under his belt. They should have won that game at San Francisco last year. I think the Eagles do win too, but man, the Packers have a great chance to go win this game in Philly.
Commanders, Buccaneers. We've had a week to think about it now, and we've had a couple days to think on it. Anything change your mind that the Buccaneers are going to?
I think the Commanders are for real, and I think Jaden Daniels is special. And that team believes, and I think their coaching staff's done a really good job.
Hey.
You got Bobby Wagner on the other side, who's a future Hall of Famer, who gives that defense some credibility. You look at all the weapons the Commanders have. They really are loaded with talent. They just needed the quarterback to get them the ball. And they've overcome a lot of things, and they've had those crazy wins this season. Almost should have won that Cowboys game if it weren't for that extra point. The Bucs kind of backed into the playoffs.
Oh, stop
They're
it.
there by default.
Stop it. Look, the NFC South is competitive. As in, like, everybody's competing to see that, like, they're trying to hand the playoffs to one another. Like,
Right.
you take it. No, you take it.
Basically, the Falcons said, we're not interested. So
Stop
the Bucs
it.
are there. The Bucs are in.
I already put the Buccaneers
10-7.
I already put the Buccaneers winning 2 games to get to the
I
NFC
know.
Championship. So you guys.
You might end up looking like a genius.
I told you. It's a roll of the dice. I'm okay with it. I'm fine with it. Now, finally, the Vikings-Rams game on Monday got moved to a neutral site in Glendale because of the fires down in L.A. Does that change what your thoughts are on this game and how the Vikings and Rams game shakes out?
No, because I still think I thought the Vikings would win in L.A., and now you're in a situation where I do feel for the Rams players and everything, whether they were whatever those players individually were dealing with what's going on in L.A., the organization, it's their community, it's a massive distraction, unfortunately, that they've had to deal with and go through.
Is that the 4-5 game? Yeah, because the Vikings
Yes, it is.
are a 14
the Rams
win,
are the 4
seed,
the
team.
Vikings are the 5 seed.
Yeah.
I know everyone's off the Vikings now because they had a pretty disappointing performance against the Lions, but you losing to the Lions, there's no shame in that.
I think some guys
I think that I think the quarterback's going to get stuff figured out. I know that was a rough game for him, but I think he's going to get some stuff figured out. Sam Darnold had a great season. I think they go to Glendale and get the win. I think the Vikings are good.
Isn't it weird that Matt Stafford, like, feels like people have cracked his code a little bit in the last 6 or 7 weeks?
Yeah.
Like he's not the Matthew Stafford that we've seen before, and he has the weapons.
He's getting older.
Guys will show up.
How does Puka get it done? What does Puka do?
What's Cooper Kupp doing, man?
But their offense, look at their scores. Their offense has struggled late in the season. You're going to have to put up points against the Vikings to win, and I don't think they can.
We got more to go right on the corner. You don't want to miss any of it. We are at the home show at the Mountain America Expo Center. So if you want to come by and high-five Nate, you can do it. If you want to come by and tell Jeremiah how wrong he is about the Commanders, you can do that as well. We've got tons more around the corner, so stay with us. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Go Bucks.
You know what's coming.
Your daily deep dive into everything Utah Jazz.
It's time.
All season long and even in the off season. It's Jazz Daily with JJ and Alex on your exclusive home of Utah Jazz basketball. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Yes, Jazz Daily. You know what that means? Johnny Tesh.
I prefer the Tesh brothers.
Oh, you prefer the brothers.
I want to hear the lyrics.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, I mean, somebody worked hard on him. What was his brother's name? Craig Tesh? Dave. No, it's Dave Tesh.
Dave Tesh.
That's right.
It's John and Dave Tesh.
John and Dave Tesh. Could we hear it without the lyrics? Why would you want to do that? I don't know. I mean, I guess. Oh, here we go.
See what I mean?
It does bring a little something extra, doesn't it? Woo!
You don't really know the songs about basketball until you hear the lyrics, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, it could just be like a generic sports.
Even in that, I mean, John Tesh, you've seen him in concert. You don't know until you hear the lyrics.
Have you? You've seen him in concert, huh?
Not live.
2, 3, 4. All right.
Hop on YouTube and go watch John Tesh in concert.
You heard
it'll change your life.
You heard Walker Kessler. My favorite quote of the entire week was when you called him Mr. Miss America. And it was like who was it with? We were actually like talking with the guys.
It was Thurl.
Oh, it was Thurl. You go, hey, Mr. Miss US or Miss America, Walker Kessler. I get it. The team is whatever they're kind of doing right now. It's fine. What do you learn in a game like that? And I know when the coach says, I love you guys' fight and everything, game in and game out, they'd be the only ones to be able to tell you if they were busting their butt on a night in, night out basis. But that's what it feels like, right? They lose to the Heat last night, and they do exactly what they've been doing all season, which is, you get a couple of decent games out of them, and a couple of those you win, a couple of those you lose. They're still 14th in the West, which is where you want them to be. But that Heat team came in last night, and they've just got more talent.
You know what's crazy? I'll throw out this stat before I get to your question. The Jazz play at elevation. Usually a team has to go play Denver first before they come play them. So over the years, the Jazz have always had a home court advantage. They've always had a great home court record. How many home games do you think they've won this year? They have 9 wins. How many of those do you think are at home?
They tend to do better at home. I'll say split. They're 5-4.
No.
5-4.
They're 2-14 at home.
They've only won 2 games at home.
Isn't that crazy?
You think about the history that the Jazz have at home, too.
Isn't that insane? Yeah, they're 2-4 at home. I'd have to go through the schedule to tell you, okay, they beat the Knicks at home. That's one of the home wins. And then I'm going to quickly find the other one here shortly. Maybe not. But 2 wins at home.
But I think you know what that means? We got to exercise this building, brother.
Oh, they beat the Mavericks at home. Mavericks and Knicks are their 2 home wins. They've not won at home since November 23rd.
We got to have an exorcism on that building because the hockey team struggles at home.
Right.
The hockey club struggles at home, and the Jazz struggle at home.
What's up with that?
We bring in one of these witch doctors. Figure it out.
I don't know. So anyway, back to your question though: is how do you see progress? How do our fans getting? I mean, what fan did not get their money's worth over the last 2 games? Now you didn't get your money's worth on Thursday because Jimmy Butler wasn't playing, to the fault of no one but Jimmy Butler. But on Tuesday, like I'll remember. That's probably I don't know. I'll talk about that game at the end of the year. Like that was unbelievable. The way the Jazz fought, it was great to the end. They had some great individual performances. Colin Sexton hits an incredible shot to tie the game with 2 seconds
My neighbor
left.
left early.
Your neighbor will regret that for the rest of his life. And then to watch one of the best players in the league hit a half-court shot at the buzzer to win, you just got to give credit, right?
Oh, yeah.
So if you paid money to go watch that game, you got your money's worth. And I think the Jazz are giving the fans their money's worth. They're going out there and they're playing as hard as they can. These are close, entertaining games. Last time was a good, entertaining game. Not the offensive game you would expect, 97-92 in today's NBA. That's a pretty low score. But you got a great effort from that team. Fans are still filling up the arena. We all know what's going on. I keep saying this over and over again. We know the assignment. And if you are a Jazz fan and the team is developing their talent and they're giving you a good show, and they take an L at the end, that's the goal. Because we all know what this is about. They need to get a great position in the lottery, and unfortunately you increase your odds by having a worse record, and that's what they're doing right now. It's not fun, it's not easy, but that's the way the NBA is built, and you have to play the game. I hate it. I want the NBA to change a lot of things, but the Jazz don't control that, so they have to play the game, and that's what the game is right now, and they're playing it, and they're playing it well.
Don't you like watching Tyler Hero play basketball?
Yeah, he's a good player. It's a great story.
I think I watched a high school highlight of him the other day that was making the rounds, and he was a dog, dude. He was shoving dudes. He didn't care. And he was scoring 60 points in his high school games.
Yeah.
And and I know that, and people are like, well, it's because all they did was probably just have him shoot. And I was like, yeah, they did, but he was going like 17 for 26.
You know what you have to do, even at the high school level, in a game that has 12, like the high school games last 32 minutes.
Yeah, they go quick.
Do you know what you have to do to score 60 points in a high school basketball game? You have to completely dominate.
It goes 17 for 26 or something like that, and then goes like 13 for 13 with his free throws, like just crazy stuff. And so many guys like him are, you know, I don't know. He's one of those guys that you wish would be, because you think about how much and three-point shooting is at a premium across the entire league, and so a guy like Tyler Hero is not like, you know, you think about like your Kyle Korvers and things like that who would come to the Jazz and people are like, he's a lights-out shooter from the corner.
Yeah.
And that's what the Jazz do. They take 63s a game. And it's like, well, now everybody does.
Yeah. And
so a guy like Tyler Hero has more of a propensity to make an all-star team now because that's what you want out of guys. You want them to take 12 threes a game. How many did Lowry shoot last night? 15, right? He shot 15 threes. 6 for 15 is not phenomenal, but it's still
a good percentage.
It's still a good percentage, and it's but man, those are the guys that I'm watching this game last night. And I'm going, man, Tyler Hero's nice. I think they both ended up with 23 points.
Tyler Hero was 4 of 9 from 3, 23 points, but he does a lot of things well. 23 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, a steal, a block. I mean, he's giving you stats across the board. He's a good player. He really is, and. You know, you wonder if you remember back when the Jazz, when they had Donovan Mitchell and everybody was like, the Jazz and Miami should make a deal, and Tyler Hero was probably going to be thrown into that deal. You wonder, you know, you don't want to have hindsight on that because the Jazz did pretty well with the Cleveland deal. But
we didn't go bonkers over that move though at the moment. But now a guy like Tyler Hero's name moves that needle, right?
Yeah, he's getting better. He's getting better.
Jazz. Weekend doubleheader, taking on the Suns and then the Nets. By the way, if you're wondering, the Suns are actually one of the worst teams in the West over the past span.
What is going on with that?
Over the past 2 months,
they have 3 of the 10 highest paid players in the league.
The Suns are 9-8. Just to give you some perspective, they've only won one more game than the Jazz have during that same stretch. Is that weird or what?
That's insane.
They've won one more game than the Jazz since November 9th, and that is a team that right now isn't even close to being a playoff team. Not even close. So, got to get their act together, but the
By the way, the Rockets have the Spurs, the Suns pick this year.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Wow,
right now it'd be 9th if it, by record, but we know that's not how it works. But
sure.
Yeah, the Rockets own the Suns pick.
Okay. Well, the Suns are not a good team right now, and there's no protected pick or anything.
Nope, it's the Sun. It belongs
to
the
Well,
Rockets.
yeah, because you wouldn't think they'd be a bottom 5 team.
The Suns mortgaged their future to get this big three together, and
I just love Bradley Beal's work ethic, man. Just love how much he means to this team.
3 of the top 10 paid players in the league.
Devin Booker just must be going, come on, I love these guys, but I can't say anything bad about them because they're the veterans, right? You think about
one of the highest payrolls in the league, and you're 17 and 19.
No problem.
Wow.
Okay. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We've got more right around the corner. By the way, I want to remind you, you can nominate that youth sports volunteer that you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week. What do? You just go to KSLSports.com/contest. Nominate that person that does the extra special job in your neighborhood with youth sports. There are so many volunteers who do not get credit. That's not why they do this. You don't volunteer for something to get credit. But we can honor those people who deserve extra recognition, and we can do it with KSLSports.com/contest. That's KSLSports.com/contest. And listen every Thursday to our program. We roll those out, and they get a prize from Hercules Credit Union and also from Beehive Meals. Okay, we'll take a break. More to go. 97.5 KSL Sports Zone.
Your home for the best coverage of the Jazz, Utes, and Cougars is right here on The Zone. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
What does this song remind you of, though, when you hear it?
I honestly cannot say.
What was that show with, what's her name? Because this was like it was the Baby Was Dancing. The Dancing Baby song, right? What was that?
Dancing Baby song?
Yeah, that's what it was. I think of Guardians of the Galaxy, I guess, kind of first.
Right.
But Ally McBeal, remember that? Remember Ally McBeal?
Oh yeah.
That was hot for a minute. This was on that show. You had the Dancing Baby on there. Yeah, I'm just glad to say that Guardians of the Galaxy brought back a lot of classic rock that needed to be brought back.
Great movie.
It's an awesome movie.
Yeah, and it was fun.
It was phenomenal. It's phenomenal. What, Alex, what did you say? You were trying to push back on that? Okay. Jeez, I thought you were going to be like – I thought you were saying Guardians of the Galaxy was a terrible movie. Is that what you said? All right. Just confirming what our millennium – no, you're not even a millennial. What's Alex now? Jen – what's the next one?
Can you name the artist of that song?
Oh, yeah, Ooga Chaka, right?
Bjorn Skiffs and Blue Suede.
What the actual song is Hooked on a Feeling, though,
Blue
right?
Swede, not Suede.
Blue Swede. Oh, yeah. No, so you got Blue Swede. You got
it's a one-hit wonder for sure.
Blue Oyster Cult, also on the anything blue in it. You got yourself on the soundtrack of Guardians of the Galaxy. Alex, what generation are you in? Is it Generation Beta or Generation Sigma or something like that?
Alex is definitely Sigma.
He's a Generation Ohio.
You're definitely Sigma. Oh, he's not Ohio. He's definitely Sigma. Though.
Oh, Sigma. Okay.
Ohio means mid lane.
No, okay, no. He's good. No, he's good. Generation names. I don't know what if I'm in. Okay.
Who decides those? Those are stupid.
So, Alex was definitely born. Okay, you're Gen Z, bro. You're Gen Z. Yeah, you're Gen Z.
That just means he can't afford a home. That's all I hear online.
Generation Alpha is 2010 to 2024.
Okay.
And then 2024 and on, like now everybody or 25, and that's Generation Beta. That's honestly what I heard.
Nobody wants to be a beta.
Nobody wants to be that. Come on. All right? I'm what they call a geriatric, and this is no joke. They call me a geriatric millennial.
Really?
Yeah, because 81 is the cutoff.
That's so weird.
All right?
Who decides these things?
There's some guy. Some guy in Hollywood. Or no, some guy on Wall Street. You know, the Gen Zs. They don't. Millennials have been killing business forever. All right.
We got a Gen Z out for the Utah Hockey Club. It's a big loss.
Oh, now listen. Let me ask you this, because you mentioned Josh Doan coming back. Great, but
yeah, there's a reason why it's
Dylan
not good.
Guenther's out with a lower leg injury or a lower body injury. Excuse me, lower body injury. Circle on the hockey player where it hurts, and that is at the lower part, the lower extremities. But they
it's
said
as vague
it's not,
as it gets.
It's not going to be season-ending, but being out indefinitely is not good.
No, it's not. And when your leading goal scorer is out for a long period of time, that's not good for their offense. And they honestly, their offense has not been that dynamic anyway.
Right.
So you take Dylan Guenther out of the mix, and some guys are going to have to step up. Now, I will say this is a great opportunity for Josh Doan to come in here. And we thought at the beginning of the season, we talked about Josh Doan being in the race for Rookie of the Year, and that he was going to be a part of this thing. And then he was on the opening day roster, but it wasn't going to stick, and so he had to go back to Tucson to get some time. Well, now's an opportunity to take advantage of this and go play. And they need Josh Doan to be productive and put the puck in the back of the net.
Well, it's a bummer to have Dylan Guenther out, second leading scorer on the team, and maybe the best revelation for this team so far this year, right? In terms of guys who immediately came in and produced at the level that he has.
Yeah,
so.
Nearly an all-star level.
Good news is he's young.
At age 21.
He's young, probably part of Gen Z. And and he'll be back hopefully as soon as that.
He's definitely Sigma and not Ohio.
There you go. More to go right around the corner. 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.